So we've got the door frame down in my sort of temporary welding bay. I really need to get to that bench over there, but because it's winter and everything's inside, and I've got all my welding equipment from just doing the sides on this Land Rover, it seems stupid to move everything. So I'm going to do it on top of this deck. So first of all, an old rule of thumb is to measure twice and cut once. So before we cut this frame out, we're going to measure it and we're going to mark off our replacement piece. Now, I made these years ago and they're not quite the same as Land Rover ones, but they're almost the same and almost as good enough for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure with the old measuring stick. This is critical, this length here. But we know this is fixed, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure this way, and that's 31.8 millimetres, and that's the same. I have to check it because it's Land Rover, you never know. They always make things different. And the width of it is 86 millimetres, 86 centimetres exactly. That's the thing. So it's 31.8 centimetres, that's right. Bloody North Americans, you know, Canada's supposed to be metric, we've still got inches. So like I say, I had these made a long time ago, and I'm really trying to use them up because the section's a little bit different, but it works, and it's cheap. So I don't really want to import new bits when I've already got these, and if I'm going to use this door for my truck, well, it doesn't really matter. But as you can see, it's slightly off. I don't know, let's see there. You can see it's slightly off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compensate for that because this is the mission critical edge down at the bottom. So it'll be a bit shorter. So that's why I've measured from the top to there, so I can get the height right. So what I'm going to do next is mark off these at 45 degrees to the right length, and then we're going to cut these bits off, and then we're going to see about tacking them on. I don't think there's anything. The rest of the door's not too bad. I mean, I've seen a lot worse. There's a few little repairs to do, but we'll do those. And so there we go. So I'm going to turn the camera off because I don't want sparks in my lens. So I've got the old piece cut out. Most of the rust everywhere. I've also cut out a new piece to go in. I hope you can see that. That's exactly the right length and the right height. Very nice. But you can see we've got bits missing in the corners, and it doesn't quite fit right because, like I said, this isn't for this car, it's for something else. So I'm going to make it fit. Down with it. As long as it's roughly there, it's not too bad. It's the back edges. Let me see. It's these back edges here that are mission critical. You see, they're all sort of rusted up. But what I was going to say was, when I cut the discs off, it's 1.2mm slitting discs. I get through an awful lot of these, and the soft flat discs for buffing up for the metal to get ready for paint. You can't MIG weld on rust or paint, so don't think you can, because you can't. So what we're going to do next is buff off this. We're going to tack weld it up and then start making some panels to reinforce it. Now this is very important. When you fit this piece, what are you looking at now? Let's have a look, see what you're looking at. Yeah, let's have a look down here. What you're doing this piece has to be flush with there. Not down here, not up there, just like that. Even though this skin here, this piece here is lower, this piece has to be flush, and that's exactly how it wants to be. Unfortunately, we can't put another patch over here. We're stuck with this because that's where the skin goes. If we did it too much, it would be up here, the skin would be all bulgy. So what we're going to do is, once that's tacked in place, and I mean just tacked in down here, we're going to flip it over and we're going to cut out some more rot and put some steel pieces. I'm going to fabricate some steel box section if I can. If I can't, I don't know what I'm going to do. But Anyway, this is, like I say, this is budget. This is what you guys asked for, how you do it on a budget. I dare say you could, I went down to the local sheet metal shop and he knocked me quite a few of these up. I only asked for 2 pairs and he ended up making me 20. So that's why I've got so many. And like I said, this isn't a top quality job, so we'll use them up on here instead of buying them. So once that's done, we'll flip it over and we'll make some patches and I'll describe how to do it on the back. Alright? So I've got the old piece cut out and dressed up. This is the right length now. I've got the small Lincoln welder up there. That's a 100 amp 110 volt welder. More than ample for this job. I could use the big welder, however 230 amps is a little bit too much for tin. Land Rover never really put heart and soul into these jobs. You know, they were just knocked together very cheap, pressed and knocked together. So I'm just going to tack these corners up to get some frame, and then I'm going to start to reinforce around here. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I'll just make things up as I go along. So, but the important thing is you put a piece of tin underneath, press it down tight, get a tack in this corner, and then we can work on this corner. We can get it all nice and tight, and then we know that is parallel. We know that is flat to that, so that's crucial. This might be a bit high, but who cares? It doesn't really matter. So anyway, nobody's going to see it. So I've just given these a quick tack up, and then I'm going to buff these off, and then I'm going to make a little plate to sit inside there to weld onto there, so that's going to be nice and tight. Same at this end, you know, it's going to be tricky, a little tiny plate in there, but then that side's finished. They're all nice and flat, buff them off, away you go. Just the thing on MIG welding, this is 0.6 wire, it's very thin. I don't know what it is in inches, but 0.6 for all those Europeans, and it works very well. One thing about this little welder that you can do when you're welding thin stuff is you can always pull back on your arc if you're sort of welding here and you're starting to burn through. Just pull back and you'll get less resistance in your wire, or more resistance, and it'll start to melt easier. So that's just a little tip for welding. Maybe I'll do a welding video one day and show you, but for now that's in. Little patches on there, we're on our way. So there we go. I put a little patch in this corner. It's not fantastically welded up there, but it doesn't need to be, as long as this bit's flat. So that's the inside done now, and it's nice and strong, even though I haven't welded up the back side of it. So that's what my next job is. But I'm going to go and have a quick cup of tea now, because it's winter and I haven't got an extractor fan in here. It is quite dusty and smoky. So I'm going to let that die down a bit and then I'm going to come back. Alright, see you in a bit. So the door frame is now finished. Some of the welds are a little bit, but it's strong enough. I mean, there wasn't very good stuff to repair to, but it's good and it's strong. Before you ask me why I took all the door skin off, I did it sort of in 2 stages, so you could fold this back to get in here to weld, and it is tricky. I would suggest you take the door skin off right up to this corner here and fold it right back so you can get in. Don't do it to here, because this is very tricky. I wanted to sandblast all this off here. That's the thing I wanted to get into. And you can see, you can see how water's built up. It's been nice here, but the water's run away and got down into here. And you can see it's always at the front. It's never really at the back. Can you see that up there? Look. It hardly ever corrodes here. It's always at the front. Strange that, isn't it? Anyway, let's have a look and see what the repair turned out to be. Oh, hang on. I started this project at 8 o'clock this morning, and it's now 4:30, and I've only just got it done. One door, I haven't even done the other one yet. Messing about. So I put a little gusset plate in there just to keep that tied together. Like I say, I haven't really dressed this. Nobody's going to see this. I just migged it up in that corner, made a fabrication Same with that one. I have a hole to drill for the door hinge. That's why this is bubbled up a bit. I'll probably have to put a longer bolt when I put the door hinge back on. But that's nice and strong. I fastened this on with spot welds, so it looked neat. And I have this little punch here. Oh, you can see the little bits that you punch out, and you fill it up with MIG weld, and it looks kind of nice. You know, it looks a nice flat finish. You put a little bit of primer and some filler across that, and that'll look nice. But then again, nobody's going to see it, so why bother? Land Rover didn't bother. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to drill a hole and a plug in here, so I can inject this whole channel with a wax. And the same at the top. I'm going to put a hole. Where did I put it last time? I think I put it in the top of here and put the tube down so it would squirt full of wax. And the same in here. Just put a plug in here and fill all this lot with wax. Obviously you have to do that once it's painted, but yeah, but it really does want rust proofing, and a liquid rust proof, so it gets into here, not necessarily wax oil. That'll just sit on the top. One of the things about the old door section worth noting: when Land Rover built the door, they put drain holes in the top, and this would be on the top like this, if you can remember. And so water comes down through the new water was going to get through the door, and then goes through those holes, and then eventually, with a bit of luck, it'll come through these 1, 2, 3 little holes at the bottom. Once they sort of plug up with rust, it all builds up and backs up. It's got nowhere else to go. So I'm going to drill several holes in the bottom of the door for water to get out, and I'll put some in the top as well, just in case. But I'm not going to do it right now. I'll do it later. You can see sort of things where what I was trying to say. If this isn't too bad, this is actually not too bad at all. They all crack here. Look, here's another thing I've got to weld up. I've just noticed it, and they all do it the same. They all stress crack here. So I'll put a little plate on there, but I'll have to sort of avoid that 10mm, that 6mm nut there. But they always crack then. It's the stress of the door, look, when you're opening it and closing it. It's just rubbish. It's very, if they'd made it a bit thicker gauge, it wouldn't have been too bad. But that's what I'm trying to say. Once they've all cracked and broken, and especially trying to weld inside here, is a little pig of a job. So anyway, that's Land Rover doors for you. This particular one was off a 200 TDI. But 300 TDIs, 2.5s, they're all the same. They're all made of the same badness. But you can see once water gets into them, it's in. And you know, these are a little bit suspect here. But my sandblasting man will make a job of those, and we'll fill that cavity full of wax. Like I say, drill some holes underneath here to let the water out. Because if you don't drill holes to let the water out, it just builds up and backs up. And it just sits there sloshing about, and it's no good. It's better the water being out, at least it has a fighting chance. So there we go. If you like this video and the other ones before it, you know, subscribe, give me a thumbs up or whatever. I've got some interesting plans for the future now, because I've got a bit more inspired now, because a lot of people are watching my videos. But and that's really good. That's a good morale booster for me, because it's a bit of a boring job sometimes. So I've got some ideas for the future, but the door skin on this won't be put back on for a good while, because I'll have to do it in an order sort of in March. So, you know, I haven't forgotten, but I'm going to get these blasted. I don't know, like I say, if my sandblasting man is working in this weather. It's a tad cold, but we'll have to see. And if I can get them blasted and primed, I'll put them back in the container and get them all ready for a door skin. Alright, so there you go. Oh, one last thing I forgot to tell you. I'm going to tell you this now, because I'll do another video on it. But when you've been playing around with, I'll get that out of the way. When you've been playing around with Land Rover doors, and it just reminded me there, seeing that was a bit wibbly-wobbly. When you've been playing around with Land Rover doors, when you put them on, you can find sometimes that the door doesn't fit properly. Don't worry. Don't worry at all. It's get it to fit at the bottom first. Because you see, I get people, they're filing the hinges out and they're messing about with the doorposts and stuff like that. Don't be afraid to bend the doors. Believe me, if you can get the seal to touch at the bottom, all the way around there, tweak the tops of the door. Just bend it, fold it in, whatever. Because I see people driving around with door tops all flapping about. And I say, well, why don't we just bend it? So what you need is a guy who's kind of beefy to hold the door at the bottom, and you can press and wind the window down first, naturally, and then press, pull it out or push it in, whichever way it wants to be. Again, once the weather picks up and we're doing the door, I'll do a video of how to adjust the door, because it is a bit brutal, but it does work. All right, so there you go. Have a nice afternoon. I've had a bit of fun, well, pretending to be, and we'll catch you on the next video.